You can run that on the chemical analyzer. Derek's mom definitely had access to the pesticide in her garage, and she could easily have doctored his tobacco when he stopped by.
Mama has a book on pesticides, as well as the killer powder in her house when her son stopped by. Let's hear her story.
So I left a harsh message for my wayward son, and that leads you to think I committed filicide?
You're a confident woman, Mrs. Hanson. Maybe you thought you'd never be found out. And the papers are already saying you're winning the sympathy of the voters.
Kill my own child to improve my position in the polls. Does that strike you as an effective way to attract votes? He had pledged financial support, and when he changed his mind, I had to let key staffers go and expose my financial weakness to the media. But since then, we've regained our footing, and we'll do fine without his help. $100,000. If that sounds like a murder motive to you, tell me how I gain from my son's death. My sweet daughter-in-law, however, stands to pick up a cool $500,000. I saw a copy of the policy. We share an insurance agent. Why wouldn't I if I planned to have that vile substance around? My garage was rat-infested and I meant to do something about it. Is killing rats a crime in Las Vegas?
No. Unless the rat was a big one, named Derek, who had come around to pick up his camping gear. You knew he was coming over, so you manipulated your contractor friend Asper to bring you some pesticide. While Derek is distracted, you poison his tobacco, a dose perfect for seeing to it his desert camping expedition is his last.
Is that how you solve crimes, Captain Brass? Spin conjecture all day? I never touched that pesticide, nor even opened the book. I didn't have time. And I did not poison my son's tobacco, though I told that boy time and again that smoking would kill him someday. Now, if you're quite finished with wasting my time, perhaps I can provide a fact, not conjecture. There's something I found that I must have thrown away after Derek cleared out his camping gear. Look, I found a receipt that must have dropped out of Derek's jacket pocket.
You should have handed that over earlier, Mrs. Hanson. It may be evidence.
Well, I thought it was just trash at the time, but upon reflection, I began to think otherwise. It's a receipt for tobacco, the day before the crime. I called the tobacco shop, and you'll want to do the same.
We will, but why do you say that, Mrs. Hanson?
Well, as I say, the receipt had been in Derek's pocket, apparently, but the tobacco was purchased by Carla, the clerk said. And here's an interesting tidbit about my loving daughter-in-law. Smoking is not one of her numerous bad habits. Gladly. It will be just another memory to store away until I'm elected and can begin going after all your jobs. I don't have anything else for you.
Yeah, I had a long talk with the clerk who knew Carla all the way from Catholic school. He also told me that Carla bought the tobacco the day before her husband left for the campout. We know there was pesticide at the condo. We know Carla bought tobacco, and we know she's being friendly with others. Did Carla spike her husband's tobacco in his own house? You now have a search warrant for evidence to answer that question.
Just a friend of mine, co-worker at the legal office. Where the hell did you get that?
Well, your mother-in-law thinks this friend is a lover.
Does she? So even the police are falling prey to her manipulative BS. She's a political animal. When the heat's on her, she shifts it onto me, huh? Look, this guy's really just a friend, and I don't see why he should suffer because Emily Hansen wants to build up her reputation by tearing down others. How can you be so cold? I just lost the man I love, and if a friend wants to lend a sympathetic shoulder, that's hardly against the law. Sorry. I know you're just doing your job, and you have to look at everything and everybody, and I really do want to help. Look, you wanted boots, remember? I found some that my husband bought me ages ago. I intended to give them away. I know I never wore them. Maybe they'll help prove my innocence? Thank God someone in the Vegas media is finally telling the truth about that witch. She nagged and nagged about him contributing to her campaign coffers. Let me guess. You've been to see my husband's mother, Emily. Isn't she a peach? She hates me, and always has. Jealous that Derek chose me over her, angry that my religion is different than hers, and always blaming me for her son's out-of-control behavior.
We're trying to interpret evidence, Mrs. Mitchell, not make wild assumptions about people's character.
You'll have to forgive me, but if you had a mother-in-law like Emily... Anyway, I'd be lying if I didn't say Derek and I have had patches of rough road together. But lately Derek had really turned himself around, was totally committed to joining me in a normal life. We had our wild years, okay? Now we've changed directions. We're the straightest couple you're likely to find in this town. Along those lines, we took out an insurance policy, $500,000 each. Derek's trust fund has gotten whittled away, and if we were going to start a family, we wanted that security, for the kids we hope to have. If you want to consider that suspicious, well, fine. But I want to be straight with you. Derek would want me to be straight with you.
You got stood up when company came, and thought your husband might have been out gambling. Thought you and Derek had worked all that out.
Listen, Derek was human. He fell off his various wagons from time to time, and I had to be the bad guy sometimes. If that's suspicious, go out and arrest every couple that argues, why don't you? Anyway, I'd cooked a gourmet dinner for his friends, and he stood us all up. Oh dear. Well, that's good, isn't it? I mean, it's progress at least. Please tell me he didn't suffer.
He did suffer, but it wasn't prolonged. There was a highly toxic pesticide in his tobacco. He smoked it and died of the poison.
Poison? My God, that's terrible. My baby, my poor, poor baby. Derek had his faults. God knows. I know, but how did this happen? Derek? Suicide? No, never a word. Frankly, he was too selfish for that. Oh, is that terrible for me to say, to admit? But he was self-centered, like all substance abusers and sick gamblers. And he was struggling with kicking his various habits, but still, I wouldn't call him depressed or anything. Oh my, do I have to? Really, this is personal, and it's all I have left of him. Those last memories. Well, we woke up and made love, and just rolled over into each other's arms, and... Anyway, then he got up and made breakfast. While we ate breakfast, he sprung it on me. He was taking one of his trips out into the desert. He didn't think I'd mind, since I was going to be working all week on my upcoming trial. Around then, Lou Astor, that jerk contractor, dropped by to pick up his materials, and Derek got into it with him. He was still in the kitchen, cleaning up after breakfast, when I left for work, and that was the last time I saw him. An image I'll treasure, because for all his faults and selfishness, there was that thoughtful side. I'm not really sure. He said he was planning to use this virulent pesticide, and I said, like hell you are. I didn't want my cats using up their 9 lives.
Did you happen to see where he kept it?
No, as I say, I can't be sure if it even was here. Are we talking an aerosol spray can like Bug Killer? Might have been in the kitchen, under the sink, or under the counter. Frankly, he cluttered our kitchen up something fierce. I was happy when he finally came and hauled that junk out. What a mess. Maybe. I really have no idea.
And Derek's been gone for a week. How often do they do the laundry around here? Unusual spot for a fingerprint. Looks like this lid fits the jar in the contractor's shop. Careful, something's on the inside. Smells like tobacco.
I told you all I can.
You don't quite have a match there. Little details make all the difference when you're doing a comparison. When you're sure, then ask me for a confirmation. Derek wasn't responsible for this deposit of bodily fluid, so that sympathetic shoulder Carla was seeking was more than shoulder. They say tobacco kills. Sure does. Especially with the pesticide blend. So, poison was mixed inside the lid at the condo. Derek and Carla were having their last breakfast together, and Lou, the friendly contractor, stopped by. Man, any one of them could have done it.